Hey, wait, is this thing on? Oh, it is. Hey guys, this is, Editor Agent here, and I just wanted to inform you that we have a new goal, and the new goal is 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Yeah, I know, it's a big goal from where we're at right now, but I believe in you. And, you, the viewer, yeah, you, if you look down slightly, yeah, keep looking, more. You see that? Yeah, that's the subscribe button. If you press it, you'll get notified about my videos and content. And every time I post, you will know about it. So yeah. And if you press the like button, you will show even more people about this spectacular content that you so love and enjoy. And also, just a random fact on the screen. There's just, new content that's going to come out when we reach 1,000 subscribers. I'm totally not spoiling anything, of course. But yeah, you know, editor editor agent, I guess, is probably writing some stuff on the screen. If he is, make sure you don't pay attention to it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I am not a sellout, by the way, so yeah, don't worry about what it says on the screen. Just completely ignore that. But yeah, I've wasted your time enough. I've wasted your time enough. Unless you didn't do it. If you didn't do it, I'll wait. No, but like seriously, do it. Okay, so you probably did it by now. Back to your regularly scheduled program. What's up, guys? It's Agent What If, and I'm back again with another video. This is What If Deku was the son of Batman, and I guess I really don't have to do too much explaining. So yeah, without any further ado, let's just get into it. We start off with Selena Kyle, Catwoman, and Batman at the hospital. She's in the middle of labor, giving birth, and Bruce runs in after coming from a conference at Wayne Enterprise, and he basically asks if everything's okay because he didn't know she was going to be going to labor this soon. The doctor basically grabs Bruce and tells him that everything's going to be alright and just to breathe, to go center himself towards her and grab her hand. He does, and she squeezes it extraordinarily hard, and Bruce doesn't even make a face and just sits there watching. He asks her if she's alright, and she says, I am alright. Of course, this baby has to be difficult just like its father. And they both crack a smile, and then she goes back to yelling. Shortly after, a couple hours later, she gives birth to a boy, and they decide on calling him Adrian Wayne. After Adrian has been born, for the first few weeks, he's in the hospital getting checkups on him. Immediately after Adrian was born, all of them start heading back to Gotham. Damian was already in Gotham and still currently living with his dad at 10 years old. I aged everybody down, so yeah, that's why he's 10 years old. So Damian's still living with his father, and he wants to see Adrian as well. He's eager to see Adrian. His first response was, finally, a brother who doesn't annoy me, hopefully. Next is Dick to come back from Bloodhaven, and then after that is Tim, and the last is actually Jason because, he was out doing his thing. They all essentially come back to Gotham on the same night. And when they arrive in the Batcave, Jason immediately takes off his helmet and says, Bruce, you here? And Tim and Tim and Dick look at him weirdly and ask him why he's screaming. There's probably a baby sleeping somewhere. Then he actually does realize that and starts being quieter. Damian walks out of the shadows saying, my brothers. And then he walks up to them and they all ask where the baby is. And Damian says he's at the hospital. And then they all catch on to this to say, it's a boy? Of course it's a boy. This is Bruce we're talking about. Of course it's a boy. And then Jason takes off his helmet and just starts sitting down. Everyone starts situating themselves. And they start interrogating Damian, basically, asking him how long it's going to be till the baby is taken to the house. Then he says he doesn't know, but he assumes at least 2 weeks. They all say, okay. And they begin to wait. The 2 weeks pass by rather quickly. And once the 2 weeks are finally up, Bruce and Selena walk through the door to Wayne Manor and basically walk in. Selena is excited. This is her first child, and she's very clingy to Adrian at first. Bruce also is very protective of his children, but that's just natural. He then tells her that it's about time that they show them and stop leaving them waiting. And Selena knows that he's talking about the rest of the Bat family, his other sons. And Bruce basically says hi to Alfred while walking past him. Alfred makes faces at baby Adrian, making him laugh. And then eventually, they go to the clock moves to the side and reveals some steps. They begin walking down the steps, Selena and Bruce, and even Alfred closing the door behind him, walking down all the way into the Batcave. Everyone immediately jumps up, looking at the baby and saying, "Oh, it's all of you. It's Selena and Bruce and Alfred. Huh, didn't expect Alfred to be here." Then they all start swarming around Selena looking at Adrian, especially Damien, who starts climbing on top of Dick to get a better view since he's the shortest. They then all start looking at him and start playing with him. The first one Adrian takes notice of is actually Jason, and he actually grabs Jason's finger and starts, yanking on it. And Jason then says, so he likes me. I knew he liked me better. Dick then responds saying, "Look, I was the first Robin, so clearly him being a Robin likes me best." Tim then says, "Look, I'm the best detective out of all of us except for Bruce. I'm the smartest one here beside him. Of course he likes me." Damien says, "I'm the closest to his age and a biological brother, so of course he likes me best." And then that's when Bruce tells them all that they need to stop arguing. He's just a baby. The next one he looks at is actually Damien, and he starts patting Damien on the head as a baby. Damien then looks at him in awe and automatically knows that this is his little brother and he'll protect him no matter what. Then a few years pass by. When Adrian is around 5 and already walking and talking, he starts walking around the Batcave saying hi to everyone as they get off from one of their missions. The first one to walk past him is Damien, who's now 15, and he essentially just goes over to him and pats him on the head. The next one to walk in is Tim. Tim, now being 20, comes in and picks up Adrian, telling him hi, then putting him down. Dick and Jason arrive at the exact same time, Jason being around 24 and Dick being 25. So they both walk in. Adrian, seeing all of them in costume, begins to tell them all how excited he is to become a Bat person. And they all laugh at him, and then they actually think about it seriously for a second. They're all Bat people, or at least a part of the Bat family, so maybe he should join as well. Selena then comes and grabs Adrian, picking him up, saying, "You're too young for that, son. You have to wait." And Bruce then arrives with his cape and cowl, coming out of the shadows, saying, "Selena, maybe we should give him some training right now." Selena then says, "But he's still young." And before she can finish, Bruce says, "I understand this is your first son, Selena, but you can't be clinging to him forever, and he's associated with us very deeply. So sooner or later, maybe someone finds out, and maybe someone comes after him, especially him." Selena then sees Batman's expression change, and even Adrian sees it, and starts wondering that his dad is really scary. Selena then tells him to stop making that face, and he immediately snaps out of it. And Adrian then says that he wants to be a Bat person, and that he really does, and he'll start training, and he won't complain. Batman considers this and says that he's sold, and Selena begrudgingly says yes. And then Batman comes up with an interesting idea. He says that I will teach you in your detective work and everything else, but who do you want to learn from in your fighting ability? Your 4 brothers here are all very adept. If you want to be a detective like me, or just want to get some extra practice with it, you should go with Tim. If you want to go with more of an aggressive or acrobatic style, you should go for Jason or Dick. And if you want to go for a weapon based style, go to Damien. And they all look at they all look at Adrian surprisingly, and they're waiting for his response. Adrian then walks up in front of his brothers, and then he points to Tim and says, Tim, you're immediately taken off the list. Tim is a bit sad and looks down and begins to walk away out of the roster. He says, the reason is because of the fact that Dad's already teaching me how to become a detective, and why would I learn from you when I can learn from the best? And Tim looks a little sad, but he begins laughing and walks past Adrian, ruffling his hair and going to sit down. He then says that acrobatics, as good as they aren't useful to him really, since all Bat family members are acrobatic enough, and it's not like you're going to need excessive levels of acrobatics in order to defeat a villain. So he excludes Dick. Dick walks away and then pats him on the head while going to sit down. He then says that, but I would like to learn from Damien and Jason. And they both look at each other saying, I thought he was going to pick me along. But I guess working with you is fine. And then they look at each other, getting angry at each other for copying each other. Adrian then says, okay, I'm going to learn from older brother Damien and Jason. They both say fine, and then say, what do you want to learn? Because he does have to learn something specifically. He goes to Damien for all of his weapons needs, such as swords, bow staves, short sticks like Dick, and batarang training. For Jason, he goes to Jason for raw fighting ability, unpredictability, and his durability and pain tolerance, and of course his shooting ability. Then it's decided, and over the next 5 years, he starts learning all about how to use his fighting style from Jason, getting taught how to be aggressive and fearless in a fight, and how to use his opponent's anger against him by being witty and funny. He learns from Damien all types of ways to use weapons in general, but he ultimately decides that he's going to go for something different, something that no other Bat family member has tried before. And he actually goes for dual short swords, which aren't really even short swords. They're actually just extended batarangs, which are longer than all of the other batarangs that he uses for fighting. They all applaud him for his choice, and he, of course, learns how to use his batarangs. As his suit's getting developed, his suit that you see right after Damien is what he's going to be wearing. When he's finally 10 years old, he goes out on his first patrol. Batman tasks Damien, all of the brothers, in order to go do it. Adrian is excited for his first actual patrol, and when it finally happens, he's ecstatic. When they go out on patrol, Adrian keeps up flawlessly. They all compliment him on his stamina and ability, saying that if they were his age, they would be nowhere near able to do that. Then they all arrive at the crime scene. Well, not even really the crime scene. They see Clayface robbing a bank. And they all think about this. Who should go first? And Adrian then says, how about me? And he actually jumps off of the building using his suit, which has claws, to basically make his way down the building. He flips off, and once he turns around, he sees that all of his brothers have already reached the ground. And he says, you Batmaned me. That's not funny. And they all begin to laugh. The first one to get serious is Dick, who actually throws one of his batons at Clayface's head, making him turn around. Clayface then says, am I seeing extra? Another bat person? Batman must really be going at it. And then they all chuckle a bit, and that's when Tim runs up using his batarangs basically in making them explosive, and they all blow pieces off of Clayface away. Adrian runs in next, throwing more batarangs, but using his short sword batarangs, which actually have heated. They basically can be put to extremely high temperatures without melting. So he uses them to chop off Clayface's legs while sliding underneath him, turning around and getting on his feet again. The next one is Jason's to start shooting holes in him through using his guns. Damien just slices him in half with his sword, landing behind him, and then started constantly slashing. Everyone then sees that Clayface needs to be stopped immediately so he doesn't do any more damage, so they all take out their utility belts except for Adrian, who actually has his utilities and items on his wrists, and basically threw out some some liquid nitrogen to basically flash freeze Clayface. And then they wait for the cops to get there and then disappear. Adrian was excited, saying that he probably did the best job. They all congratulate him on completing his first task. Oh, and by the way, he looks just like Tim, more or less, except the only difference in the face, at least, he has blue eyes and black hair. But the difference is that his hair actually is slightly red on one of his sides. Well, a couple of his bangs are actually red instead of just being pure black. They don't really know why that happened. They don't know. So, yeah. When they arrive home, Adrian immediately takes off his mask, or it kind of just deforms around his face because his suits are a lot more high-tech than the other ones, and then the other brother's suits are. He essentially goes to his father, seeing him sitting on the back computer, and then he jumps over his dad's head, landing in front of him, saying, Dad, I finished. I did it." And Bruce looks at Adrian's energeticness and says, this kid. He then pats him on the head, saying, "I'm sure you did a good job, son." And then all of the past Robins reminisce about how they used to be that excited when they had finally completed a job, saving someone or defeating a villain for Bruce. They were always that excited, and they reminisced about it. Bruce then looks at Adrian and asks him if he's ready for his final exam, getting serious. Adrian then kind of sweat drops a little bit because his father is scary in the face. Then all the other past Robins realize this and begin to get quiet and walk back into the shadows, disappearing. When Adrian looks around to see where his brothers are, they're gone, and he says, "What? Where did all of my brothers go?" And then Batman jumps out of his seat, landing a couple feet behind, backflipping, landing straight on his feet. He then tells Adrian to get his mind in the game. Adrian doesn't know what's going on and is kind of confused, but he sees that Batman is ready to fight, so he gets in his stance. All of the other Robins hiding in the shadows smile, saying he has good instincts. Batman immediately rushes towards him and throws a punch. Adrian barely dodges, almost getting hit right in the face. He goes for a kick to Batman's side, but gets grabbed and thrown. He lands comfortably enough, but as soon as he looks up, he has batarangs coming towards him. Adrian uses his suit to block the attacks, but Batman is making his way closer. Adrian uses his suit's ability to basically to increase the user's speed and durability. He jumps up onto the ceiling and starts throwing batarangs down onto Batman, using his ability to stick to surfaces. Batman's dodging all of them and throws more batarangs of his own, which get counteracted by Adrian's. Adrian immediately drops to the floor and starts dashing towards Batman, throwing flurries of punches and kicks. Batman dodging all of them and predicting every single one of his moves. And that's when Adrian does something that Batman wasn't ready for. He actually starts using Jason's movements and starts actually fighting different. And actually he lands a punch on Bruce and even backhands him with the back of his hand balled into a fist. He then runs up towards him, dashing forward with both of his batarangs in his hands like he has two batons like Dick. He goes downward in a slashing motion, cutting a bit of his suit. and continuing the assault. He then starts using all of the skills and abilities of his brothers to fight Batman. He even combines them all into the same fighting style, which is his one. Batman immediately thinks that my son's already passed, but Adrian hasn't finished yet. But before he can even attack again, Batman sits still and Adrian stops before he approaches him again. Batman then says, taking off his cowl, now as Bruce, saying, "You've passed, Adrian. Congratulations." And then he hears clapping because his brothers walked out of the shadows. And they say, "Congratulations, kid. You finally passed the test. So, are you finally ready to get your name?" And his name that he's gonna go with is Ace. Ace of the Bat family. Because Ace, their dog, died a while ago. And he loved the puppy since he had a very good connection to the dog. So yeah, his name is Ace. But with that, I think I'm going to end this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and all of that other stuff. And yes, if you are asking, then yes, he will be in My Hero Academia verse. This is not just, like a solo part. We'll get there. Just anyway, if you want to know the rest, then come